Morning all. Alright, so starting off with the news of the day video today, and I'm aware that it's a little later for me getting started. Also, happy Thanksgiving to those on the Canadian side of the border, to those on the American side of the border. I will not spoil any surprises with how Thanksgiving goes, because clearly one should echo the other. But anyways, yeah, so again, happy Thanksgiving. We're going to start off with the news video, which I delayed until now because I wanted to wait until the waiver wire news came in. I missed the time when the waiver wire news came in at 9 a.m. That was actually better for me than 11 a.m. Just throwing that out there. Starting off with something that was announced yesterday. And I know there are people upset about this, that Ian Cole has been suspended by the Tampa Bay Lightning pending the results of an investigation the NHL is going to do. Really, this is something that shouldn't take that long. The NHL can make some phone calls. It can look into the Twitter account that posted what they did, and I talked about that in a video yesterday, right? And so basically, this is an accusation that's come out. They'll investigate it. I really don't think it's going to take that long. This doesn't mean that anybody has decided, well, that's it, he's guilty, we're throwing him out of the league. This is standard procedure to suspend somebody with pay. I've had plenty of jobs where somebody gets suspended. Normally, it's not with pay, though. So, and it doesn't mean that they're guilty of everything or everybody hates them or that they're going to get fired. So, again, it's an investigation. I've also seen people saying, well, why does it take so long for people to come forward? Because sometimes it does. I know people who've gone through horrid, horrible, awful things that have never reported it. So it does take time. And I'm dating that back to when I was a teenager, and I know it never got reported because it would have been big news if it had been. So, and I'm not talking about NHL players either, so I'm not trying to start anything. This was just stuff that I heard in my day to day that, yeah, I was like, who did what? Seriously? And it was a matter of, I don't want to say anything because I'm going to get blamed for it. And it was like, okay, well, I don't agree with that policy. It's not on you. But anyways, there you go. So we'll see how long that takes. Again, I don't think it'll take long. I think by the end of this week, it's probably either been found to have some merit or found not to. So we'll see where that goes. Now, on to other NHL news. Derek Brassard has turned a tryout into a contract. It looks like Jason Demers has with the Oilers as well. He is at practice with them today, though he's still technically on a tryout. I think he'll probably be signed to a contract now because like they have to have their roster finalized with the NHL today. So Brassard, unless they're just keeping him around and they're going to cut him today, which is kind of mean. But yeah, Brassard gets 1 year league minimum, $750,000. I'm kind of sad. I'm going to say why. He's been with 10 teams. Derek Brassard has been around this league. And so while I know for him it's good to go to a team that he's familiar with, I'm really rooting for him to break the Mike Sillinger record of teams he's played for. And I'm starting to lose belief that that's going to happen. He's 35 years of age now. This might be his last year in the NHL. Sure, he might get traded by Ottawa before the season's done, but that would take him to, by my count, 11 teams, and I believe Sillinger it was 12. So for Brassard, what it shows is that he's a useful utility player, and teams are always willing to employ him for his services. So that's the way I look at it when a guy bounces around the league like that. He always has somebody who wants him, right? Sammy Blais, doubtful for the season opener for the Rangers. That's a kick. And it's an upper body injury, and it's too bad because I like Sammy Blais, and he hasn't had a chance to show with the Rangers what he can do, either year one or this year either yet. But hopefully he's not out for very long. I think Blais a useful player. I understand the Buchnevich deal looks really one-sided, especially with Blais injuries, but I'm pretty sure that was a cap move there. And anyways, Blais doubtful for season opener. Hopefully he's able to play sooner rather than later. There's some injuries to talk about with Montreal. Heineman, out 6 weeks, thumb injury. So if he was looking to make his debut in the NHL, that's going to have to be pushed back. Armia is out 1 to 2 weeks. It is an upper body injury for Armia. Kind of a nice story today, and boy, we need nice stories, don't we? Whether you're watching the news or watching everything else, it's just you need good stories today. How about the San Diego Padres? No? All right. One hit, huh? Anyways, that was a fun game to watch. So, yeah, I cheer for San Diego. See, I cheer for teams that never win because secretly I hate myself. So Montreal, they're not going to beat the Dodgers. But anyways, Montreal won't beat the Dodgers either. But this morning, to let these players know that they made the team, they called in Gooley, Jackeye, Harris, and Slavkovsky all together. They felt that if they'd called them in one at a time, they would have believed that they were getting cut. So they called them in all together, and they said, you've made the team. So Slavkovsky makes the team out of camp. Gooley, of course, there's Habs fans excited to see what he can do. And Jack I was kind of surprised last year that he got cut when he did. I thought Jack played quite well. And so I'm anxious to see how Montreal does this year. The more young players are out there learning their trade and developing, the better, right? Montreal, this is what it's about right now. They're rebuilding, and so yeah, I'm anxious to see how this roster comes together, what the line combinations end up looking like, and then 6 weeks from now, does Heineman end up staying with the team, or does he end up getting sent down? Probably ends up getting sent down, but who knows? Who knows what they're thinking in Montreal? So we'll see. Speaking of players getting sent down, kind of surprised a little bit, but not entirely to see this. San Jose sending down both Bordelot and Eklund to the AHL. My guess is, and again, this is my guess, it's probably one of those situations where they're not going to get a top six role with the Sharks. So you're better off sending them down to the Barracuda where they get a top six role and they get a chance to develop. And I think that's a good plan. I think that works. There are some players that, yes, they can come in, they can play fourth line minutes and develop into that top six player. But there are others that it's just better for their development to have them getting the top 6 minutes in the AHL rather than spending maybe 10 minutes on the ice during a game at the NHL level. So for San Jose, I think they're handling it right. These guys didn't play during either of the games against Nashville either. So I'm not entirely surprised to see them getting sent down. Mildly surprised they didn't get sent down before the trip over to Prague, but hey, they got a nice trip over to Europe, so good on them for that, right? Vancouver news. Besser and Mikheyev in non-contact jerseys. They did skate, though, with lines, so they're not far away if they're taking some line rushes with, line mates as it would be if they were healthy. The one alarming thing, Quinn Hughes, who was seen to have like a maintenance day. This is his third maintenance day. He's not at practice. He's American, so he's probably not having Thanksgiving dinner right now. It's probably not like a big, Thanksgiving. It's not like he's, had too much turkey and he just can't get out of bed. So, yeah, Hughes not being at practice isn't great news, but the Canucks season opens in a couple of days. Odds are he's probably okay. I'm going to be an optimist and say he's probably okay, because if Quinn Hughes is off that blue line, that's a major problem for the Canucks. It does open up more offensive opportunities for Oliver Ekman-Larsson, but yeah, if they don't have Hughes, that's a major problem. The lines this morning at practice, Pearson, Miller, and Höglander. So Höglander on the top line, Kuzmenko, Pettersson, and Karlsson. Linus Karlsson makes this team, so I'll be interested to see how many games he gets in, because you've got to think when Besser and Mikheyev come back, that's going to demote both Höglander and Karlsson. We'll see how that works. Third line, Podkolzin, Horvat, and Garland. And there it is. 3 scoring lines. That is the plan. 3 scoring lines. The fourth line, Joshua, Amon, and Lazar. So I like those 4 lines. I'm not as enamored with their lineup as I would be if Mikheyev and Besser was in there. But those 4 lines, not awful. Again, are they going to be a playoff team if they deal with injuries to high-profile players all year? Probably not. But it's one of those things you can't control. Speaking of injuries, Taylor Hall feels good for the Boston Bruins, so he feels like he'll be able to go for the season opener, which is good news for Boston. They definitely need their wingers. Marchand, not really giving a time of when he thinks he can be able to come back, but basically stating that the return timeline he kind of feels like is under his own control. So we know that December 1st, November 1st, both those dates have been talked about. He's going to try to come back as soon as possible. So he wants to be careful with it, but he wants to come back as soon as possible. Pastrnak is very upbeat about contract talks. Says the talks between his agent and the team are going on a daily basis, and that he's pretty confident they're going to get a deal done. I don't see any reason why they can't, why they won't. Pastrnak and other members of the Bruins have already shown that while they do enjoy having some money, these guys are well paid, they don't worry about maximizing it. Like we haven't seen them... And really, in all honesty, when a Boston Bruins player has basically said, well, I want to get paid, the absolute max I can get, they very often end up leaving the team. Boston's been pretty... Now, I do think that's been to their detriment at times. I do think that they miss Torrey Krug on the blue line. But, for instance, like Dougie Hamilton, right? Hamilton ended up leaving Boston, and I do like that the core players who are in Boston are saying, yeah, we're willing to take a little less money to make sure this team stays competitive. So I do hope the Pastrnak deal gets done. I think Pasternak on the open market would get at least 10 million a year. You have to think at least, right? He's a 40 goal scorer at minimum. He could be a 50 goal scorer, and he makes it look easy. So yeah, he would at least 10 million on the market, probably higher. And so I don't expect him to make that kind of number, that kind of bank with the Boston Bruins. So into the waiver news from today, Connor Ingram has been claimed by the Arizona Coyotes. So he will get a chance to be a backup, not in Nashville. It'll be in Arizona. And again, if I had said that during the summer, I would have had, wait, what? How's that going to happen? Mahura has been claimed by the Florida Panthers. So Mahura is going to get a chance to play for them. Tenorti was claimed by Chicago. I guess Chicago felt like they needed a little bit more toughness on the blue line. I don't mind Tenorti, honestly. I understand why he gets waived and sent around the league as much as he does, but I think he does a good job as a fill-in. The Jets have claimed Janssen Fialbi. So as I said yesterday, I was worried that he might bounce around a bit like he did last year, but here we are again. Janssen Fialbi is a decent player with a little bit of skill there that just makes you want a little bit more. If he can find consistency with the Jets, if he finds a line that he really gels with, there is some offense there. So we'll see how it goes. The Anaheim Ducks claim Leeson as the Capitals lose 2 forwards from the waiver wire placements yesterday. So Janssen Fialbi and Leeson are both out of the Washington organization. So for the Ducks, they lose Mahura, but they get Leeson. And to make room for Leeson, today they have waived Glenn Godden. He is the only player on waivers today. That's it, just Godden. So if there's any team that wants him, now's the time to put in their claim. My guess is that he clears, though, and goes to the AHL. But we're all set. We're all set. And look for the rosters to be 100% finalized. And then I can go through and we can have a discussion about who was a bit of a surprise that made the roster and who didn't. I'm a little bit surprised that Nick Foligno cleared waivers. However, with teams so far up against the cap, that contract becomes one that they just can't take on. So Boston snuck everybody through waivers, and so that gives them some more cap flexibility, and that's going to be the key thing. Apparently the Flyers were looking at maybe making a claim or two, but they didn't make any. So look for the Flyers to maybe look to make a trade for one of those players that just cleared waivers, and then see what they do with that player from there. But I'm done for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.